You're listening to the Accordion to Me podcast with Veronique Medrano. Hi, I'm Veronique, and on this week's episode, we get to chat with singer-songwriter and radio personality, Beatriz Gonzalez. From her viral video at Mi Tierra in San Antonio, Texas in 2018, singing Los Laureles, Beatriz has grown her art empire from her mariachi roots to the main stage, performing alongside Frankie J, Larry Hernandez, Plan B, and Solido. This talented businesswoman from South Texas has over 1 million followers on all her socials and is being hailed as one of the new voices of música regional, straight from Texas. This podcast is sponsored by Cricket Wireless. I recently made the switch to Cricket, and they removed the extra hassle of staying connected and calling within the US and Mexico. And trust me, that is always an issue with every other service provider except for Cricket. Make the switch and join the Cricket comunidad with me, Veronique. And if you think that's too good to be true, then download the Try Cricket app from the App Store to start your free trial of nationwide 5G that covers 99% of folks in the US. It's just one reason why people who come to Cricket stay with Cricket.
One trial per person, 5 people per home address. An unlocked GSM-compatible smartphone is required. Cricket 5G requires a compatible device and is not available everywhere. For 5G coverage, see cricketwireless.com/map for more details.
Thank you so much for coming.
No, dude, thank you so much for having me.
I know we kept talking about it. We've been talking about you coming, and so I'm really happy.
It's an honor. Thank you for having me.
An honor, girl. What?
Yes. And an honor for you to call me a businesswoman too, because I'm like, damn, I guess I am a businesswoman.
Yes. I mean, you have your own record label now. Like
yes.
you are your own. You went from being with a label and working in that environment and
yes.
learning the ropes to now having your own label and distributing independently and doing things your way. So yeah, there's a lot with that.
You know, it hasn't really sunk in like that. But I know for a fact that you as well know exactly where I'm coming from. So that just carries a lot of weight behind it, because it's like, okay, yeah, for real. We're doing this, I'm doing this.
There's money. There's money at stake. When money's on the line, it's a business.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt. Especially when you invest.
Exactly.
And then, okay, we'll see if it works,
That's the scary part. So how has it been like transitioning from being with a label to being on your own?
Well, I'm still currently in the label. I'm pretty much just finishing that contract or whatever. I want to end it on a good note. But of course, I have my own label now, so it's hard, but it's so much fun. It's a little stressing, but it's the best type of stress.
Yes.
Like, I'd rather stress for myself than for anyone else or for anything else. You know what I mean?
So what were the big differences you've noticed? Yes, you're still with the label, but you're doing things kind of on your term. You're going back to rap, which is how you started with a lot of your releases, which was like a mix of rap and regional.
Cumbia, yeah,
which is now really popular. But
I would say urban reggae cumbia. That's how my first album, aunque sea así, that's how I would call that, reggae cumbia.
And now you're going back to that.
I mean, not that I never ever left it. It's just like, since, I did go viral singing mariachi. Mariachi's always been something that, I hold dear to my heart, and something I've always just wanted to do. That was actually my main goal. When I, came into the business, I wanted to sing mariachi.
Okay.
Pero pues I ran into a lot of people saying, no, que it's not gonna work, que nomás los hombres, ahorita the big names, Vicente, Alejandro, Pepe Aguilar, Rocío Dúrcal at the time, way back then. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll try something else, when I started recording professionally, and that's when I started doing the urban cumbia stuff, right? And it went well. It was doing well, except like I went into the regional, to the mariachi, or el viral video, which
you had already been doing it a little bit before.
Yes.
Because you already, kind of take us through that, because like you said, mariachi was your first love. Mariachi is where, for you feel the most connected to your roots. So,
yes.
Tell us how that started for you in mariachi.
Well, as far as mariachi, it was like a dream since I was little.
Okay.
That was actually me watching Sesame Street one day. And I was watching, it was Elmo and Linda Ronstadt.
I was about to say it had to be Linda, but I was crossing my fingers. I was like, maybe some other Muppet.
No, Linda Ronstadt for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Linda Ronstadt is the one I just saw her and I was like, wow, like I felt so proud and I wanted to do that. And she looked so beautiful. And in the traje.
And this week is the anniversary. This year is the anniversary of Canciones de mi Padre. Did you know that?
Is it?
Yes. They're doing
My favorite.
They're doing a re-release of the vinyl and CDs,
wow.
and so they're reprinting because they haven't been in print for a very long time. And I know this because I'm a big vinyl aficionado, and I have tried to find a good copy, and they are now re-releasing it this year as an anniversary year.
That's amazing.
It's like still, if you go on iTunes, it's one of the top 10 albums on Apple.
Really?
Like for the Latin music section.
Wow.
So there's like Selena, like the Ones album where it's all the number ones. And then you have the Linda Ronstadt Canciones de mi Padre. Son ahí.
It's an amazing album.
It's an amazing album.
She sings so beautiful. Like that, just her voice alone was just like, wow. Going from country to, mariachi, it's like, what?
Yes.
Pero it makes so much sense. Like she has such an amazing voice. Like for me, she's one of the ones that inspired me through, since I was little. Selena, Vicente, Los Tigres del Norte.
Linda, Selena, Vicente.
And now Daddy Yankee, for show.
But like you watched that, you saw that, and when did you immediately start mariachi in high school? Was that a thing you did?
Actually, I started singing since I was little.
Okay.
So when I was 3, I started singing. My mom would write the songs for me, anything I wanted to learn. She would get me the pistas, the instrumentals. We would go to Reynosa, and I took some piano lessons. Briviesca se llamaba la escuela ahí en Reynosa. Saludos al señor Alejandro. That was el maestro. And after taking the piano lessons, I started taking some singing lessons. Y ya después me salí de ahí. And then, yes, like, I remember being in folkloric as a little girl, and I saw the mariachi playing, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to get to high school. Imagine, like, a little 8-year-old girl in a folklorico suit.
She's like, I can't wait to get out of here.
And I saw the mariachi.
To be in mariachi.
And I was like, damn, I want to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, I got to high school, and yes, Donna High School mariachi.
Okay. And so did you, so you were part of UIL, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I'm a UIL, you're a UIL. So explain to people what it's like competing in music in high school. Because I feel like it changed me a lot. Like it made me appreciate what I was getting into, and like kind of just changing the way you look at music. So I looked at music a lot differently after high school because of competition. Yeah. So what did it do for you?
Competition for me, it was fun. It was exciting. It was nerve-wracking, especially when you're, doing that with mariachi, competing in mariachi with amazing voices. Like, it's crazy. But it is, I don't know. It made me want to keep doing it. Like, as far as that. I also played vihuela. So I wanted to be the best I can possibly be. As a musician, I'm going to be honest, I'm not like the best. Me defiendo, Me defiendo. Pero if I would practice more, I'd probably be better, Pero tampoco I'm not that bad.
I'm the opposite of Beatriz. I am not good, but my voice is great.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm good there. And I think that's something that's really interesting when it comes to musicianship. Is you can be an instrumentalist and you can be a vocalist, and then you can be both. But you did it ahí enfrente de todos. You did it in front of everybody. So what does that take in your brain when you are, that young, and then now that you're older, playing and performing? Like, what do you prefer? Do you prefer to play the instrument and perform, or just be the vocalist and perform?
The performance for me, 100%.
Okay.
Performance. I like to play and stuff, I like to accompany people. Pero when it's on a stage, I want to take that stage. Like, it's adrenaline. It's my happy place. Like, 100%.
Is there a little bit of pressure, like, you know, going up there playing and singing at the same time? Is there a little bit added pressure, or is it just the same
It
to
is
you?
because, I mean, well,
Because you sing in mariachi, so you technically have to sing either segunda or tercera.
Yes.
But and you're playing at the same time.
Yeah.
But your segunda or tercera doesn't have to be super like front and center.
Well, no, well, there's a little bit of pressure just because you have to be on the right chords. You know, don't mess up.
Your finger
type
can't go on the
thing.
wrong spot.
Exactly,
Okay.
porque si no, yeah.
Yeah, todos se enojan.
Sí.
Kick you out of the club. Yeah.
Sí. No, yeah, but it was still super fun, like, for me. But definitely, I'd rather be singing.
Singing.
Back then, it was different because I felt like I had to prove myself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like going up there and making people feel something.
I remember the first time I saw you, we were playing a show in, I think it was the Mercedes Livestock Showgrounds, and you came in a limo. And then they canceled the event. You sang, I sang.
And then they canceled, right?
And then they canceled it.
That is
but
true.
Like, it was just so, like, of course, me in my little carrito, like, we had all loaded up. We had brought the pistas because we're like, we don't know what's going on here. And then, like, halfway through the show, they cancel it. I don't know who that person was.
That is so true.
And then Beatriz got in her limo and left.
No,
I got in my carro.
We got in the limo. Wait, no, the limo actually se calentó.
What?
Se calentó, so they had to bring. I don't know if they. I don't remember if like they fixed it or they cooled it down or something, or they brought something else. But I want to say we had to wait for it to cool down.
Damn.
Yeah. No, pero you know what? Like, and that's the thing. Like, I've had that support. Like, where people are like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. Okay, cool. You know, and there you go.
But I remember that so clearly only because, like, we were starting at about the same time recording.
Yes.
So you were promoting Aunque Sea Así.
Yes.
And I was promoting Llorarás.
Oh,
that was
okay.
the video with the animated music video.
Oh, okay, yes.
So it was like a little video game. So if anybody remembers that, that's when, and I'm not going to tell you the year. You can go look it up.
Do your research.
But I remember so clearly being like, damn, like, this person, you know, is from the Valley. We're both in the same space, and like, what's the future hold? Because you always see, like, and I'm sure me and you have talked about it a lot. It's like, we've seen a lot of people come into this business, and it's a business.
Yeah.
It is. It may not feel like it because it's a lot of fun, but there will come a turning point where it's not saying it's not fun, but it becomes money. And so when did that happen for you, where you're like, okay, like, I'm doing this, but then it was like, okay, there's money involved. Now I have to walk differently in this entertainment space?
You know, first off, I admire anybody who keeps going in this business. You're one of them.
Oh, thank you. I exist.
Yes. Porque, damn, it is tough. It is really tough. Especially once money's involved and all that, and, you know, you're making those moves, and, you know, now there's a lot more pressure behind that, you know. Pero pues también you don't want to lose yourself. You know, like, that was my little struggle there. Like, seeing the numbers go up. It was nice to see the numbers go up, like, views.
Yeah.
You know? But I didn't see that till,
I mean,
girl, I didn't see them numbers till later, like in money. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was.
So, like, that's an interesting observation, because a lot of the times people say, okay, you go viral, you should just already have a record label deal, you should already be having money, you should already have a tour, you should already have all this shit. And I'm like, I don't know. I had 500,000 views on one music video. Nothing changed. You know, I mean, I went and I did, you know, a tour and stuff, but nothing like substantially changed yet, because it's not going to. It's really not that overnight. like you said. So
yeah, no, there's a lot of groundwork behind that. You got to go comment, share your, I mean, it was a lot. Once that video went viral, it was just a lot of like on the computer, and it's work. It's not just like being on the phone. No, we're actually working.
You're not there chismeando going.
No, we're not looking at what,
Panfila.
yeah, fulano de tal is doing.
Exactly.
No, yeah, we're actually there like commenting, sharing, what's next creatively. You got to keep thinking on what to post next, what to catch people's attention. You never know what's going to catch people's attention. So it's like, okay, just do whatever you feel like doing, and that'll hopefully work.
So that viral moment, so like lead us up to that. How long had you already been in the business prior to that video coming out?
Well, in the business, like when I first started
like recording
I was like
albums.
21.
Okay.
And that's because like I just believed in my music so much. And well, back then it was very limited, like my money, right? Obviously, because I was working and investing in my craft and trying to get everything set up together. So I had, it was pretty much releasing songs. My first release was Seis Pies Abajo, which was a cumbia. I set all that up myself, the song, the video, todo. And that was cool. It got like 10K like in a week. It was cool. I was like, oh. So, and then after that it was Aunque Seas Así. So, it just actually, for the first album to release, it released in 2017, I believe. So I was like 21 in, I don't know, 2000 something. Don't count. Stop counting.
Stop counting.
So, pasaron unos cuantos años y ya salió todo el CD, todo el album, right? So with the label, I had some releases with other artists, and I have the whole 10 songs there. And then after that, it was just like, okay, let's start doing the mariachi, since I went viral. So we started pushing out the mariachis, the tequilera EP series. Yeah, it's an EP series. Ya me falta uno, volume 6. So I need to work on that actually. I started working on that. Pero honestly, it was I don't even know. Maybe I have like.
But will this be like the last tequilera EP, and then you're gonna work on some other stuff, and maybe not saying like no mariachi, we're just saying like just a whole nother original record, like a record of original music? Oh
yes, for sure. That's my goal. Bueno, pues a la gente le gusta when I sing the covers, right? So I like to sing covers too. Pero pues I do write, and I do have a few songs there that I'm like, okay, let's put them out there. Porque that's what really makes me feel fulfilled. To actually, get something from your brain, write it down, get the musicians together, get it all recorded, mix and mastered, do the video, release. Like that is like, it feels good. To me, it's like, me quita un peso de encima. I don't know why. That's how I feel it. But yeah, dude, like, yeah.
but with La Tequilera, it was really interesting because I
lost my train of thought there. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. With La Tequilera, you've done 6 volumes of this. You enjoy doing covers. I enjoy doing covers. I haven't recorded too many because I have to, like, I was sitting with myself the other day in the car, and I was like, ¿Sabes qué? I'm gonna listen to like better covers than the original playlist. I'm sorry, but like half of those songs shouldn't have been there. I was so pissed. Yeah. But some of the other ones were. And so like I listened to them and I'm like, okay, this feels like the artist's own rendition of this song.
Yes.
And so with you, when you go about picking songs for La Tequilera, do you just pick like stuff that you really enjoy, or do you like go, okay, am I gonna do this better than the original? What's your mind frame when it comes to selecting songs for La Tequilera? Or is it fans? Like fans go, oh my God, I think you would sound great in this, and you listen to it and you're like, ¿Sabes qué? I would sound great on this, and then you go about doing that. Like, what's the selection process for that?
I've been singing since I was little, so anything I've ever sang, I pretty much release it. Like Los Laureles, La Basurita. I love Vicente Fernandez. I identify a lot with I guess maybe like the way he sings, or it has inspired me.
There's a lot of masculine energy that I get from you, in the sense of, yes, don't even start. Like she's like, but like there's a like in a really good way, because I think a lot of the times we're asked to be a lot more feminine.
Yeah.
In our music and in la letra, and like, ay, no puedo vivir sin ti. But like in reality, there's an internal dialogue with us as women that there's a lot of strength. But outside of Paquita, and I'm gonna say Paquita because Paquita's like the ultimate in like really masculine chingona vibes.
Yeah, for sure,
that
for sure.
You are up there for me. Because of the fact that like there's a lot of Mexican regional artists that are very feminine and they're very soft, and even if they're singing about things that are masculine, it still sounds too pulled back. Like they're not giving it the full like rancor,
Sí, el
like
rencor,
the full,
el dolor,
the
o sea,
rage. Like
sí.
That's the whole reason Paquita is who she is, and I think that's a very big reason about why you are the way you are. That there's a very clear sense and genuineness to that music. Where does that come from?
Well,
where does your internal feminine rage come from?
Well, I mean, I had a tough childhood, to be honest. I saw a lot of violence growing up. I also grew up with my brother, uncles, you know. Disculpen la palabra, pero ya sabes, cagaleros.
So you saw it. You saw.
So I saw it firsthand. You know what I mean? And I mean, aside from that note, you know, me, myself, in my heart, I feel things different, I guess. I don't know. I guess the way I sing my music, especially the rancheras, is like I feel it to the core, you know, and like that's why there's a lot of that, you know, like in there, because some people are like, oh, no, she sounds too rough, or it's too much here or too much there, pero tú no la estás sintiendo como yo la siento. You know what I mean? Like, cuando yo me tomo mis tequilazos.
That's why there's 6 volumes.
Nomás ves agua, nomás aquí no hay. I swear it's water.
Let me sniff it. I'll sniff test
No,
it
it
right
is water.
now.
Me la trajeron.
That would be a lot of fucking tequila.
That would be a lot of tequila.
Like, I don't know if you guys could see the shadow on this thing, but like that would be a lot of tequila if it was tequila.
I know, right?
You'd be like on the floor.
I mean, I think I can handle it.
A la madre.
I'm not gonna lie. No, pero to me, así como sí siento las canciones más on a deeper level, y creo que mucha gente lo siente así como cuando estás, I don't know si les ha pasado, si te ha pasado, I'm sure, a lo mejor, no sé, todos tenemos problemas, ¿verdad?
Así es la vida.
But when sometimes hasta me encabrona, me da coraje that I'm feeling so sad. Like, why am I feeling so sad right now? Oh, you know, this vato.
This is stupid. You can say bad words on this podcast.
We can say bad words. No me hubieras dicho.
Si ya sabes cómo me pongo, ¿por qué me invitan?
Okay, you feel me?
Yes, I do.
No, so I mean, in that case, I mean, I just that's just the way I feel music, the way you know, I sing it, and like when I'm singing it, it's like a release of energy, like for me, and it just, I don't know, some people like it, some people don't. Hey, you know, it's been working so far, gracias a Dios. You know, people see or like feel it more than anything. I think that's the most important part, that they feel it. And it's so crazy, like the amount of people that follow me. I appreciate every single one of you. Muchas gracias por seguirme, por apoyarme. But more than anything, like I appreciate that they identify with the way I'm singing this stuff. Like they accept my voice and they accept my interpretations. That's, to me, like super important. And I feel like they feel it the same.
And that's interesting to point out. They accept your interpretations and they accept your voice. Was there ever a point in your musical journey that you were self-conscious about the way you sounded?
Oh yeah, at the beginning when I started like actually performing, I'm like, ¿Qué me está pasando? I went out of tune. I can't even like hold my breath up here. Like that's when I was like, no, I have to start running or something. You know, I have to get my cardio up so I can be able to be on stage and be able to move and perform and hold those notes long, you know, and high and all that. So yeah, that was a struggle there because I was super hard on myself, like especially if people record everything now, right? But when they're recording you live y se te va algo and it's like, ay, no, me daba tanta vergüenza. And I guess it's especially because since we have that UIL background, you know, it's like perfectionist type thing. Like, yes. You just gotta, I don't know.
There's a sense to like competition. So if you guys don't understand what UIL is, UIL was like high school. It's the same thing like with sports. So like sports competes like, you know, varsity, junior varsity, whatever. But the same thing is said within the arts. And so within the arts, there is an entirely competitive competition called All-State or like All-Staters. And so like you want to be the best of the best. And technically it's like the top 5% of an entire state's, you know, different regions all make it to state, and that makes you the best musician in the entire state. But those competitions were really brutal. Like they're tough. Like there's sight reading, there's like just the vocal.
For choir?
Yes, for choir there was sight reading. I hated that.
Was it T?
Nerd alert.
I was just gonna say that word, nerds. Such nerds right now.
But like, this is the thing that I don't think gets appreciated enough for vocalists is that like we get the run of the gambit of like pues we're not like we're not like
cool though.
I will say that is cool. I love Drumline as a movie.
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite music movie?
My favorite music movie.
You're gonna laugh when you think when I tell you the first one that came to mind to me. Happy Feet.
Oh really? You know,
I love the way they did covers.
Okay.
Because that whole like movie was covers of different songs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I was like, okay.
You're right. That's a good one.
Penguin. I'm here for it.
The one I've been I started showing my baby is Coco.
Oh, that one's good.
That was real good.
That's why I said you would be surprised what I said because it was just the first thing I thought of. I thought, musical movie, definitely like Happy Feet. But originals, Coco was it. Because it did have original.
Llorona. It had like La Llorona in there. It had a few.
Chabela Vargas, yeah.
Yes. So, it's a good one. And my baby, he's all into it. Every time I put it on, he's like, remember me. It's a good one.
Yeah. That part made me bawl. In the theater, I was done. I was like...
At the end where with the little girl?
Okay, we're not going to ruin it, but yes. Spoiler alert.
Pues ya salió hace años, ¿no? It's been spoiled rotten.
But yeah, no, I love that movie. That was a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is so true. Desperado.
Oh. You like Desperado for the guitar?
I love it.
Oh.
I mean,
like both. If you were Selma Hayek walking across the street and making cars stop,
imagine,
and crash. Actually, didn't the bus crash in?
That's true. They
crashed into each other. Yeah. She's walking, and then like Antonio Banderas just looks at you and says, "Te quiero."
Y luego me desmayo. No, I mean, actually, I like it because, when I first started liking it was because of the song, because it was just so awesome. Desperado, for me, it was the whole mariachi maton aspect of it.
Yeah.
The guns in the guitar case.
Yeah.
You know, I love all that.
And speaking of loving all that, like you speaking of all that, you also have a very like intriguing point of view, again, back to that very just masculine, very empowering, very strong imagery when it comes to some of the music videos that you've done, which does include a lot of guns, a lot of, implied violence. And also you've turned a corner recently and also, been going through, illegal immigration and like crossing the river and stuff like that. So given all of that imagery, how do you feel when people describe South Texas the way they describe South Texas?
I think they're tripping.
You're like, because you do it for the theatrics of it. You're not doing...
I do it because, the reason I do like stuff like that, for one, for example, the Migra one, which was Los Mandados, that's real. That is real, shit. And people go through that, and some of my family went through that, my dad, and I like to depict the realness and the human side behind, with a little bit of like humor in it. You know what I mean? I think my brother does that in his movies too. My brother's a film guy, film director. So we've helped each other out to work, because we love action movies. Like, to me, action is the movies I like to watch, you know what I mean? So I've always wanted to be one of those action movie actresses, like, you know what I mean? Like, or in the future, I would like to be in an action movie, right? So más que nada es para darle acción y todo eso a los videos, ¿verdad? Pero I mean, the way people describe the valley, I mean, it's not y'all tripping, like, it's not that bad. It's not bad like that. Yeah, I mean, every spot has their
no-go zones.
Yeah, like every city, every
city,
spot, everything, you got everything, no matter what. Y no nomás está aquí en el Valle.
Mira, if there's more than 300 people in your town, you're gonna have a little bit of everything.
Exactly.
Let's just leave it at that.
Sí. Yeah, for sure.
Because they treat it as if like, oh my God, we're being overrun. Oh my God, oh this, oh that. And it always is just really, it's not indicative of here. It's not indicative of where we are. It's not indicative of our surroundings.
Yeah, exactly.
You have been listening to the Accordion to Me podcast, which is made possible by listeners like you rating and reviewing the podcast. Every time you leave us a review, one of your haters loses their wings and their wallet and maybe their keys. So if you love the podcast, leave us some stars and a quick blurb. And if you hate the podcast, send it to your enemies. Either way, everybody wins. Bye. And so with that being said, you've grown through this. It's happening. The viral moment happens. You are online a lot, and you guys decide to do La Tequilera. And at what point do you decide, okay, this is going to be more than one volume? Because was it right at the start that you were going to be like, okay, this is going to be a multi-volume series? Or like, when did you guys decide it was going to be 6?
Well, it's just pretty much on the terms of the contract that I have with the label.
Okay.
So I'm just finishing that up pretty much. You know what I mean? Like, pretty much just finishing it up with Tequilera stuff.
Okay.
That's what my manager, Edub from the label, es lo que me dijo, no, que volume 1, volume 2. Yeah, para volume 3, I was like, dale calmado con los volumes. Like, I was low-key getting, a little But I'm like, okay, pues whatever, De perdido, my voice gets out there and more people start getting to know me. And, I mean, como quiera, it's worked, so...
And you've consistently put these out. You've consistently made a point to put these out rather consistently, and that consistency is key to people continuing to come back.
It is. Pero pues gracias al label that always, anything I needed, I estaba. For me to record, to get the people together, to get everything together and pretty much just, invest in it. Pay for it, and then let's, get it out. Y también los videos, back to back. It's a lot of work. It's a little stressing too. Kind of stressing, a lot of stress actually.
I've done only 3 music videos. So yes, I can agree. It's a lot of stress. I've done 3 music videos in my entire 10-year career, 4 albums, and most of those were for the first record.
Really?
Yeah, because I was just, it's exhausting. I don't think people
is.
realize how much goes into putting a music video together. We're coming into like a new album cycle. We still have a music video to do for our song Mezcal Maria, which we'll talk about here in a second. But like all of that stuff, like we had planned like 3 different times to do this Mezcal Maria music video, and yet algo pasó. Like the location wasn't available. Okay, people weren't available. Okay, somebody got sick. Like it's never ending, and it's just like, or okay, somebody can't take care. Like you have family members, and somebody needs to get taken care of. Okay, and you're just sitting there like, my God. And when you see like these big companies or big independent artists who are independent to a degree, but there is money backing them. There's a whole team.
Exactly.
There's a whole team.
A whole team.
So who is your team?
My team, though, I do my own nails. I do my makeup. My hair, if I want to do something with it. If I have time to do something with it, I'll do something with it. Si no, pues, then it's you. This is what you get. Like whatever. But I have Gino that I always work with. Gino Tarantino. He's my film director. JJ. JJ Mendoza, he's my producer at the studio at Palabra Records. He helps me out. I mean, I record myself too, de repente y todo eso. But he's the one that does my mix and masters and all that. Y qué más, a ver. And whoever else, is around. My brother has been part of my team also, Frank Gonzalez. He's helped me a lot, especially with the last... Like the Los Mandados video, he helped me out a lot. Le dije, no, pues tú haz el de la migra que es mexicano, pero there's them mexicanos que son racistas con su propia gente.
Yep. Yeah. He's like,
so I was like, you're gonna be that guy. Racista. You're gonna be that guy.
Que gacha. And all his friends
are
like,
no, yeah, I could do that. Like he's excited. He was excited to do it.
He was a little too excited.
Yeah, it was all fun. But see, he has also helped me out a lot. So I mean, really, these people, I've known them for years, and I'm just blessed that they've stuck with me, and we've all grown together. Pero sí, I mean, it's that's a team.
And Palabra,
let's make it happen.
Yeah. And Palabra Records is the name of your label, offshoot.
My label.
And what was the inspiration behind the name?
Palabra. Well, word,
Word.
Palabra, que es la gente. Primero es que es una persona sin su palabra. Si no tienes palabra, la gente isn't going to trust you. I mean, they're not going to trustear. I went totally tejana on that. What's trust in Spanish? Bueno, eso, ¿verdad? And y la tercera es palabra, la palabra de Dios. So those are the 3 reasons for me that I named it that. Porque una persona sin su palabra, pues no es nada. If you don't got word, you ain't shit.
And so speaking
and if you don't keep your word, people can't trust you.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely.
And then God's word.
And speaking of words, and you're talking about, if you don't have, just honesty and trust and you don't walk a certain way, there's a really interesting way that the industry treats things like that. Sometimes they care, sometimes they don't. It's just la lana. La lana's trust for a lot of people.
Exactamente.
But what I'm curious about is, given that you are bilingual, given the fact that you do code switch, you go between English and Spanish, and that language of yours is very fluid. Have you engaged with the no sabo in you? and how do you feel about that? How do you feel about this otherness that comes from the no sabo kid, or from people who really aren't understanding that our dialect here in South Texas in this border region is very unique? So talk to us about that.
It is super unique. Actually, I had trouble as a kid because since in my family, pues todos son. I was the firstborn aquí. So todos mexicanos, ¿verdad? Y todos hablan español. But I remember, go back to when I was a little girl, I started talking English at the house, right? And I remember, Beatriz, no hables en inglés, aquí se habla en español. Oh, shit. Like, and I felt like, okay, damn, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, you know? And, I mean, as far as that, I mean, I get it, pero pues it's the new generations, you know. If you're not teaching them, they're not gonna, no se les va a pegar unless they want to, que se les pegue. For example, me, I was like, okay, well, I sing in Spanish. I feel like I have to know more words, you know what I mean, and speak it correctly, you know, as much as I can, because a veces se me salen. Y pues it's natural, you know. Pues what can I do? You know, I'm not gonna like turn my back on it either, on who I am, porque pues soy de aquí del Valle, pues soy Tex-Mex, Spanglish, ya saben.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't really judge these kids or like people who are no sabo kids. If you want to learn, and if you don't, pues then it's gonna get lost along your bloodline. But hey, it's up to you.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because it's you know, your first language was Spanish.
Yes.
And your second language was English.
Yes.
And so at home, do you speak both languages, or do you kind of, depending on what relatives are home, you know, that's the dominant language for the day?
Spanish for sure.
Spanish for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spanish. Bueno, con mi baby, I do speak to him in English and Spanish, but I'll repeat myself in Spanish. Like, you know, like I say vaso, cup. You know. Yeah. So, I make sure he sees English and Spanish shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
And given that language duality, and you were bringing up something really interesting, because for me, as somebody who is like, I spoke Spanish and English at the same time. It was really hard. I leaned into one over the other because of school. Because that's just...
Yeah, it's hard.
It's just what happens. Like, you either lean into it or you get left behind.
Yes.
There's no nice way around it.
Yeah.
And so I leaned into English and kind of expanded how I engaged in my songwriting. But in Spanish, it takes me a few revisions before I finally get... Sometimes it just comes out.
Yeah.
But other times I take the effort to go through a few revisions before I finally get that like depth of meaning. Because with Spanish, it's not that simple. I mean, I could say the same thing with English, but really with Spanish, if you really want to express something really deep, you gotta go in there with those words. I don't know if there is a Spanish thesaurus, but like if there was, I need it.
There's Google.
There's Google. That's about it. But like, how did you go about that? How did you go about, you know, going through learning Spanish and delving into that language depth?
I think it's mostly...
Like, did you do books? Did you do like poetry? Did you do songs?
Okay. Well, mostly writing. Okay. Because I wanted to use the correct word. Because I know there's correct words for stuff. Like, for example, we use llanta for a tire when it's neumático, you know, or for example. You know, or parqueadero es estacionamiento, you know, stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, what's this? I would think of it in Tex-Mex, and then like, okay, what's this in, you know, Spanish, or the correct word, and then I decía, So that's where I started learning and listening to a lot of internacional. I love international music. So listening to that, like Shakira, Alejandro Sanz, Laura Pausini.
Like there's some writers that are just like the way they explain things in the Spanish language allows you to understand it better.
Yeah.
Shakira is up there.
Feel it.
Yes.
You know,
but
like,
it's like as a Spanish understander. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
As a Spanish understander, I go, okay, I get context clues.
Okay.
So like,
sí.
So like I don't know, how would you explain that in Spanish? Like, el contexto.
Sí.
El contexto de la línea de palabras.
Sí. Te hace como saber lo que significa una palabra.
Sí.
Específicamente.
El contexto
sí.
de esa letra. There. And for me, that's what I got a lot of the times. And and it's like, you know, shower. Go and take a shower. I would always say lavarme. And that's not right. It's duchar. Like, there's so many things. Thank you, Duolingo. I'm not sponsored. I'm just saying thank you, period. But it's just, you know, the Spanish language, yes, I agree with a lot of people. It is technically not our country, like our genealogy country's original language. You know, they're like, Mexico has a lot of native, you know, languages, Nahuatl, like so many others, but I'm just giving an example because of the natives that lived in Mexico. But if we're just going to talk about business, and in business is done in Spanish. Art is made in Spanish. So me understanding that predominantly the audience that is going to listen to my music, que son mexicanos or latinos,
Exacto.
hablan español, I have to try. And I have to try in a sense that, like, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about perfection.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I've had to unlearn from being in competition as a kid.
Yeah.
That as a writer, I will not be perfect on the first go around.
Yeah. Same. I go and revise the whole thing various times. And I'm like, okay, this could be better. You know. Like
Mezcal Maria was real funny because when I wrote that, like, it was inspired by a, like, I wouldn't call it jazz, but I wouldn't call it not jazz. But it was by a jazz-ish singer, so it was like kind of Latin jazz.
Oh, okay,
like,
okay.
Styled. I'm trying to remember. It's like big band jazz. There we go. It was a big band jazz guy, and I had heard this song. And if you listen to Mezcal Maria, it has that same.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true.
Maria, Madre de Dios, si voy a tomar, tomo por dos. And I just went with
I thought that was so smart. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Well, it was because when I originally...
Yo también tomo por dos o tres o cuatro.
Cuatro, cinco. Well, what was funny is when I wrote it, it all came out.
Yeah.
It all came out, and I was like, okay. And I write hook and chorus first. Hook and chorus. That's kind of where my pocket is.
Oh, okay.
What's your pocket? What's the first thing when you're writing that comes into your brain? Well, the verse or the chorus?
Sometimes it's just a line.
Okay.
And from there, it could be either, mostly it's like the beginning, and then I'll go off, you know, and then like all of a sudden the chorus, you know. But this last song that I started writing, I was like, I don't know why, I was like, na, 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 na. I was like, okay, this should be the chorus because it's super high, right? I was like, okay, so this is where I want to be, and now from there, I have to, you know.
How do you get from here to here?
I figure out the chords of the song, and then I start, you know, messing with the chords from there, and I figure it out. So obviously I'm not gonna start up here, right? I'm gonna start like, and then, you know what I mean? So yeah, so I va. Pero it just depends. Sometimes it's just the first line. Por ejemplo, seis pies abajo was seis pies abajo te enterré, and it was a minor chord, and I was like, have you ever had those moments where like,
that was for me with most of this record. Like most of this record,
I was like, damn,
well,
good.
It's like it started with Running on Empty. Like it started
that's
with
an amazing song.
Thank you.
Dope. Yeah.
So it started with that one, and then that one was like 3 years ago. Like people don't realize, like it was part of an album that never happened.
Oh wow.
And then there was another song that had waited even longer than that. So Dear Dorothy, which is the next song that's going to get released, waited 7 years to come out.
Damn.
Like I had written the whole thing.
Have a few of those.
Yeah, like I had written it. It was done. It was everything was done. Like in the sense of what I needed to do. I just needed to take it into the studio, and it just never happened. Like I tried it once, and then I tried it twice, and then I'm like, okay, pues I'm just gonna save it for a rainy day.
Yep.
And al final, you know, it made this record, but I noticed like there's certain songs, like you said, sometimes you come up with the verses, sometimes you come up with the whole thing. But I will say my pocket is usually a hook and a chorus. Like once I get that, then I go backwards. Then I go, okay. Like this is the meat and potatoes, and then I'm going back. I'm going, okay, how did I get to this story? Like what is this going to encompass in a story?
Yeah.
And that was Mezcal Maria for me. Mezcal Maria was definitely like, I want, because it was initially Virgen María Madre de Dios, si voy a tomar, tomo por dos. And I'm like, that doesn't sound, that's going to be weird. People are going to get mad because I'm saying,
the Virgen.
Like Virgen, help me drink. Like,
yeah.
like I thought people were going to get pissed off. And so I'm like, okay, so what is something, and this is where that editing process comes into play.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, I started off with one song and then I move myself here.
Oh, yeah.
So like for you, what song went from A and was totally different than what ended up coming out? I'm really curious. Like it was totally different sentimiento, totally different feeling. And by the end of it, you're like, vete a la ching.
Bueno, por ejemplo, tengo una ahorita that they're working on. And actually it's crazy because when I do write, sometimes I write them like ballad. Like como internacionales, you know, whatever.
Going back to your roots, things that you like.
Sí. So, and I guess it's just because I'm accompanying myself with the guitar. Pero I recently sent that song, se llama Quédate, to
Quédate
Kiddo.
allá, quédate
Shout
aquí.
out, no, quédate con todo, ya no quiero nada.
Okay, allá. Quédate allá. Shout out to Kiddo.
Kiddo.
Shout out to Kiddo. I've heard a lot of great things. I've heard a lot of great things about him.
He's great. Yes, he's one of my favorite producers. Actually, one of the only ones that I work with. JJ, him, Chava. Shout out, going out to Chava también. Pero bueno, le mandé esa song, and recently he was in the studio, and he showed me kind of what he did around it, and I'm like, oh, wow, like I couldn't believe like how much it changed with his flavor. You know, he la hizo como cumbia norteño tejano, and I was like, oh wow. Ooh. Yeah, it was real nice, and I'm like, okay, I need a sexto, I need an accordion. Oh my God, guys, let's go, let's get it. Muévate, Gino, video shoot.
The 16th of September, I don't care what you're doing.
JJ, I need that mix.
Well,
yeah,
like, it's funny that you say that because like,
but that one did change a lot.
There's a few songs that it just happens, like they come out slow. Like I remember writing Dear Dorothy 7 years ago. I had just gotten out of a breakup. I was listening to Halo by Beyonce.
Oh,
and
okay.
That was the vibe. That was where I wanted it to go. That was like the, ay, estoy bien triste, no manches, Dear Dorothy, ayúdame. But no, it didn't stay that way. And it was just like, it turned into this really fun song. And then that song didn't stay that way because, like you said, once it got to the producer understanding where the whole record was going.
Yeah.
Understanding, okay, what have we done? Okay, can we maybe do something? Can we maybe shift it here? Can we maybe do that? And so what is something for new artists, people that are coming into the business, who are going into the recording studio, who have a song and they're like how would you guide them on how to engage with the recording process and how things change?
Well, unless you're hands-on and know exactly what you want, then you know, it's your call, right? But when you are working with other people, and especially like, for example, me, like when I work with Kiddo, when I work with JJ, I like their I like what they do. I like their craft. I like their sound.
Because every producer has a style.
Yeah, they have a style. And Kiddo and I work very well, especially when I send him just my vocals. I think the first song I did with him was Alto Voltaje. And that's one of my favorite songs. I wrote that song with my guitar, and he told me, okay, send me the vocal by itself. And I'm like, okay. So I was there in my room, sending him the vocal. And he did a whole song just around the vocal. I gave him the key, and it's one of my favorite songs. I love the sound. I love the vibe to it more than anything. So that's how Kato and I work like that. Like, it's just easier for him to work with just my vocal, you know. And I trust him with everything else. And if I have an opinion on something, or, you know, if I want to add something, you know, he's very open to it, and, you know, we work very well together.
And I will add that comment onto what you're saying, that if you want to add something and the person in the studio, mind you, you're paying them, but
of course,
but if they are not wanting to do the thing that you're asking them, and they're just pushing back on doing it, and it just gets very frustrating, take a beat, gather yourself, take a step back, and then walk back in there another day. Yes, because, and this isn't just as a woman, this is anybody at any point in making a song. There are going to be times where you have to like take a step back and almost like gather evidence. I did that a few times. I have had to do that a few times in the studio, where like people go, oh, that doesn't work. That's not going to work. Da, 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 da. And I have been doing this for coming up on 10 years in December. And I have to be really confident at this point, and I am, but I'm just saying, like, I have to be really confident in the sound that I want and who I am as a person and what I want to put out into the world. So if I want something and the person doesn't get it, that doesn't always mean that they're going to be hella aggressive with you. It's more that maybe they can't see
your vision.
Yeah, they can't see A to B.
Yeah.
They just see A and then a bunch of squiggliness.
Yeah.
And B. And sometimes like I've had to do like songs as examples, like, oh, this is kind of where I want to go. Oh, yeah. Okay. Like there's nothing against, and like I said, I worked in a bunch of studios, I've worked with a bunch of labels, I've worked independently.
Yeah.
So like that is the best advice I can give, is don't go in there going like, oh, I'm gonna this is how it needs to be.
Yeah.
Because I have, especially through like producing this album, like this is definitely an album where I can say, like this new one that's coming out, I had a real deep hand in producing it. Like I understood what the word meant afterwards.
Oh yeah.
And so
I love it.
So as a producer,
it's amazing.
What is something that you have kind of felt really empowered by, that kind of surprised you producing?
I mean, I totally get where you're coming from on the you gotta take a step back type thing. Sometimes I'll come back and listen again. But I mean, if you know what you want, you gotta be firm with it. You know, I'm usually just, you know, okay, no, pues sí se oye esto bien así, pero this is where, you know, whatever. But I mean, I guess, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
Well, like,
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, is there like something that has really just like, when you go home and you're like, okay, I had a day. Mm-hmm. And you kind of go home and you kind of think of the song, or you're listening to it, you're like, okay, like what, like a light bulb moment for you producing? And if you were going to be like, okay, there's other women who are producing music, or other people that are producing their own music.
Well, you know what? It's so crazy because I've had people or some producers, you know, that I don't really work with these people, but like hand on hand, like I do with these guys. You know, I just work. I have my little, you know, that's my team. You know, my little team. We work well. Pero I've had times where I do send my vocals and they auto-tune them, but they're not doing it right. So they out of tune it instead of auto. You know what I mean?
Instead of putting it in the pocket, they put it out of the pocket.
Yeah, como que, okay, you know, you got a key, like some people don't know music like that either, you know, to where it's like you have a certain key you have to follow. Now some of the stuff is going flat or too sharp or something, you know what I mean? So flat is under the tone, sharp is over the tone. Too high.
That is your music lesson by Beatriz. Sharp and flat.
Yeah.
Brought to you by the letter B for Beatriz. Get her on Sesame Street.
B as in ball. My little boy says ball.
So you're very much a here and now person with production and producing. Like whatever's in the moment is in the moment, and you're there. And then once you're out, you check out.
Like, yeah, pretty much. Because it's like, I mean, I'll drive home and listen to the mix. You know, I'll be like, okay, this, you know, whatever.
But once you hit that door to your house.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Forget about it.
That's amazing. Because for me, I have a really hard time disconnecting that brain, that creative brain that's just constantly thinking. It's probably why, you know, one of the biggest things that I do is I'll be up at like about 2 or 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning sometimes, and just be writing. And sometimes I'll pop out the notes app, and I have to be super careful. Like, thankfully, there's a dim feature on my phone, but like literally, I have to be careful because it'll keep me up. And it's just like the creative brain is so much so that it's constantly going. And so how do you balance the creative brain with the rest of your life? Because you have a very full life.
Yeah. I mean, thank God I work in all entertainment now, and it's like the best thing for me. Like, God knew that he's like, okay, yeah, here's your break. It's less money, but here's your break. At the beginning.
I didn't say nothing.
At the beginning. I mean, it is what it is, you know. I wanted to get my foot in the door in radio, and I didn't have any experience. So, of course, they're going to be like, we ain't going to pay you that much. You don't even know what you're doing. But okay, ya ahorita ya, pues todo está bien, and I have the mariachi, and I hustle a lot. I do hustle a lot. But since I do hustle a lot, my creative, you know, stuff that comes to me, or, you know, moments are usually in the car.
Yes. Oh my God. Why? What is it about the movement? I don't understand.
You're all,
I need to write this song.
So like, I'll if something pops in my head, I'll just get the
voice recorder.
Yeah, voice recorder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a bunch like that right now.
Running on Empty was written that way. I was literally on empty. I was on empty.
See?
I was on empty at like this horrible, like it was horrible 5 o'clock traffic in this back road in San Antonio. Like it shouldn't have been backed up. And so like and mind you, it's hilly over there. So like I'm at the bottom of the hill on an empty gas tank, empty, and I'm like, me vale.
You gotta use all the fours and all the rest
Bro,
of the
I was having a shitty day. I could give a shit. I was hoping. I was like, yes, I want everyone's day to be ruined. Ruin everyone's day. If this car stops, I could give a shit. Oh my God, my mom's gonna be so pissed.
Fed up.
And I was fed the fuck up. And I'm like, and I wrote the whole song. I got to the gas station.
With a whole new song.
And some guy gave me his number.
Ooh, girl.
So I'm just saying, life ain't that shitty.
It's not. It's just, you just got to change the perspective and the moment.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes. I mean, I get it. And we're human too.
Yeah. You don't want the vibes to end? According to me, you're in luck because I'm the advertiser. You hear that? Go listen to my music on your favorite streaming platform by searching Veronique Medrano. The songs that you need to add to your playlist right now are Mezcal Maria featuring Beatriz Gonzalez and my new Spanish Tejano country tune, Que Hueva, that recently won Nashville's Music Row magazine's Discovery Award. Also, if you're wanting to sport some merch, we'll be launching pod and music merch on my website, www.veroniquemedrano.com. New merch will go each month, so hurry while it lasts and get some matching merch for you and your mom. You know, she wants some new swag? Ooh. Boop. This has been your paid ad read. Boop. Boop. Early in 2020, I was in an accident, and the consequences I was living with afterwards was a lot to handle all at once. So if you're like me and trying to recover while trying not to lose your car, lose work and therefore money, and super injured, and have a huge growing stack of hospital bills to pay, then you need a professional to get the care you need. In case of an accident, you need a lawyer to protect your rights and your wallet. And honestly, you don't have to look any further than that simple phrase by going to incaseofanaccident.com or encasodeaccidente.com for a free consultation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if the person who suffered the accident wasn't you, but maybe it was your tia, your abuelita, or your second cousin twice removed, don't worry. Everyone at incaseofanaccident.com or encasodeaccidente.com can speak Spanish, hablan español, and they can take text messages on WhatsApp at 888-990-0911. Don't forget to tell them that Veronique Medrano from Accordion to Me sent you. And so you were talking about radio. So how did that happen? Did they come to you? Did you go to them? Like how?
So my friend Audrey, shout out to Audrey, who gave me that opportunity. She started working at Ultra. It was a new radio station 7 years ago. Yeah, about 7 years ago. And she's like, "Hey, we're looking for jocks. You should come. And I was like, no, I was working at Melhart at the time.
Yes, because
I was working at Melhart.
Because it was Hermes.
Hermes, yeah, I worked there for like 4 years. And then after that, I went to Melhart for like 8 months. I was like, damn, where's my life going? You know, one of those epiphanies, maybe. And then, so my friends like,
¿Dónde voy?
Sí.
¿Quién soy?
Estoy perdida. Chamacos. Have you heard that?
Yes.
Chiflales. I know. Well, anyway, so I was like, está bueno. Me habló y dije, ay, Audrey. Y me dejó el voicemail porque yo me levantaba bien tarde. Me levanto tarde. So I was like, no, que radio, que no sé qué tanto. And I'm like, okay. Y luego la segunda vez me habló. Y luego me habló la tercera vez. And I'm like, okay, la tercera es la vencida. Let me go. So I went and I'm like, oh, hi. I went during my lunch. Oh, hi, hello. Que una interview, no sé qué tanto. Okay, well, I'll let them know. Okay, no está bueno. So ya después me habló el manager. And I went and tried out, and they hired me. I'm like, okay. It was nice working at Melhart and Hermes. I love both of them, but Hermes is definitely more like a family.
Yeah.
So shout out to the Hermes family.
Hi, Juan.
Yes. Juan.
Hi, Juan. we know exactly which Juan.
Yes.
Juan's gonna be like, why are y'all talking about me on this podcast? I'm not even there.
Hey, no, but yeah, that was like, that's a whole family right there.
Well,
like,
it's just
the workers, todo, like.
Hermes is very ingrained in this community. Very much so. It's just a part.
I remember my mom bought me my first guitar, my first piano, my brother's accordion. Since we were kids. I remember going in there, I'm like, oh my God, it's the best.
And what's funny about like the connection with Ultra and the podcast is our engineer for the podcast, Nestor. He set up the antenna for Ultra.
Oh yeah.
And then Jorge started there too with Alvaro.
Yes.
So like Jorge's been on the podcast and he's been a guest. Shout out to Jorge. But yeah, like it's the community, the entertainment community is a lot smaller than people realize. Mm-hmm. And this is an example. And so what is something that you do in regards to, because of how intimate and small it actually is? You know, we've known each other since we both technically kind of started, and, you know, we're still here.
Yeah.
But what I was going to ask is, you know, how do you know, protect your energy, protect your space, and know how to engage in the entertainment industry because it's so small?
You know what? It's so crazy because I go back to one time I went to San Antonio, and it's just I like doing it. That's the thing. Like when you like what you do, it's like easy to be polite to people.
Well, yeah. Oh, shit.
Does that make sense?
No, it does.
Porque una vez, por ejemplo, me acuerdo, And I look back at it and I was like, what? Like, how could I let that slide? You know, but I was in San Antonio. I went to go do some promo. I was out there with the bag and all my stuff. And this man came up to me and he was saying, oh, okay, you know, like, you sing so good. And he started just being a little vulgar towards me. And I was listening to him, but I wasn't processing it. I was just signing, you know, the demo I had. I was just signing the demo for him. But I remember listening to him and how vulgar he was being. And it didn't faze me. It didn't faze me. Up until later, I was like, oh, stop.
Me lo voy a chingar.
But I was like, damn, that was a little disrespectful.
It's crazy. It's
I don't know how to explain it. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel anything. I was just like, oh, here you go. You know, thanks. Bueno, bye.
Bueno, bye. Well, I think it's...
Bueno, bye.
I think it's fair to say that, like, a lot of the times you're very right. It's like in one ear and out the other.
Yeah, I didn't process. Like,
other times, like, I can understand. Like, there was a situation recently where Los Desperados, were at a gig,
okay,
and a DJ spit. The DJ that was like in the mix table, like right behind the stage, spit at him. Y le echó un papú en la cara.
What?
But I think there's like there's a level of one.
O sea, le dio un trancazo.
Sí, súper trancazo.
¿Por qué no sabes? Si va a decir el chisme, dilo completo.
Bueno, like all I know is that they were fighting. They were already fighting. That's all anyone knows, because the person who was recording it was so far away. Like, nomás así va. I know, right? Why did you go closer? Hello. The chisme, we want it. But
typical
you know,
Valley women.
I know. I was like, but like, no. You know, it's a part and parcel of what happens in the industry, in the sense of shit will go left. And you just have to be prepared. Like, I had a situation where I was at an event and I was literally contracted to perform, and some guy walks up on stage with a mask, not part of my band. And then I was told later, I was freaking out, and I didn't stop the set because they pretty much told me, you don't get extra time. And I'm like, that isn't my fault that you guys let somebody walk in the middle of my set. And I'm like, okay, whatever. There's a video of it online.
Wow.
And so I'm just kind of confused. And like, this stuff happens a lot. And there's just a sense of respect that you have to performers, whether it's like people trying to throw stuff on stage. Don't do that. Just don't. I'll throw it back. You're not going to like how it feels. like for reals, it's really, you know, weird and aggressive, and there's lines that are crossed. What do you feel like in that situation? You know, you felt unfazed. Have there been any other situations where you've been like, "Tu sabes qué? Vete a la," and then you know, you just walk away? Because a lot of the times I feel like the only solution is just walk away. Personally, like there's nothing I'm gonna get from echando.
Como sí.
I'm not gonna get anything. I mean, I'm gonna get some satisfaction. Let me be clear, but
satisfaction.
but like in the grand scheme of things, there's no point to that.
You know, thank God I haven't dealt with that yet. No, but thank God. You know, I'm very respected. Thank God. I have not gotten into any predicaments like that. On the personal life, that's different. No, pero
you have to pull from somewhere for the songs.
You know? Yeah. You know, 6 pies abajo te enterré.
Don't be looking in your backyard.
I know, right? No, those are just ideas that come to mind. So on some extras.
There's fiction. You know? They're fiction. There are fiction short stories, you guys.
Pero let me see. I'm trying to think of like. I mean, there's been a couple times where I've had to say something. You know what I mean? Like defend myself. But it's so crazy. Like when you say less, it's more. So there's people, por ejemplo, that have come up to me and maybe been a little disrespectful, but I'm, you know, disrespectful back. Not in a bad way, pero like I pretty much put them in their place. You know what I mean? Like I'm real good like at comebacks, you know, especially when there's people trying to put me down or trying to make me less or something like that.
That feels so weird, doesn't it? Like, what's the point?
Yeah,
like excuse you, like what? Like it feels really strange when we get to a point where another artist or that artist's family or just other people are just other industry people go out of their way to be just mean and spiteful and rude. And it's like, bro, this industry is too small and jobs are getting lost really quick. Why are we doing this? Why can we not be just chill?
Exactly.
Exactly. And it goes back to how small the industry is. The industry is a lot smaller than people believe it to be. And so with that in mind, you know, what is something that you look forward to in this next era of your music?
I mean, more than anything is just to be accepted for my originality, like my actual works. You know what I mean? Porque mucha gente dice, no, que canta puro cover y que la fregada.
But you'd been doing a bunch of original stuff before.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and people be commenting like, pero no escribe. Or like, yes, I do. Go. And that's where I go and I'm like, oh, well, look. And I'm like, okay, here you go. Here you go.
Vete a la chingada. Aquí está un link.
So, yeah, that's pretty much my goal, you know, this coming, you know, from here on out, for people to accept my original works, to actually vibe with them and like them, to actually feel like it would be, for example, like one of their favorite cover songs that I sing. That would be it for me, like for them to accept one of these songs or one of my songs as much as they accept
the covers,
my interpretations on the covers.
Okay,
that's goals. And of course,
so yeah, that
in a bigger
that
aspect,
equal growth of
Grammys,
both those.
you know,
yeah,
a lot more stuff, podcast shows, goals. Let's get it.
Well, it's
more viral videos, more.
But I will say, like, I think it's interesting that you point that out. Like, doing covers is not you lacking creativity. It's you reinterpreting it, engaging with it, putting emphasis on things that maybe weren't put emphasis on. You are artistically interpreting, but that the goal overall is to have your original work stand just at equal footing with these covers.
Exactly. That's the main goal for me.
And so, like, would you ever do parody covers of songs?
I've thought of a few.
Okay, which one? Okay, I'm curious what parody cover you would do.
Oh man, it's because, like, usually, once again, that's when I'm driving and, you know, things come to my head. But I remember,
I think as an artist, especially like the way you and I write for Mezcal Maria, I definitely picked that up on you. You have this comedic timing for you that, like, you play around a lot with fun songs.
Yeah, I like fun songs.
And so I noticed that, and so I really
loved
curious.
it when you sent it to me. I was like, oh, I got this.
Well, for me, that song was literally about, like, it's not about the positives of drinking. It sounds like a very positive song, but when you think about it, it's all the shit that happens. Like, you can't remember if you have a significant other. How many do you have? Like, no, that's a lyric in the song. I'm celebrating having a new boyfriend. Wait, first one,
dos o tres.
Like, you're like there's so much wordplay in that, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah,
like, I really enjoy that. And so dope. When you came in, you're like, ya llego la vi. No, ya se perdió.
Oh, ya se perdió. ¿Dónde está la vi? Damn, ya se perdió.
Yeah.
See, like, so I don't even remember my own lyrics.
But the point was, it was a lot of fun. And it was something that you clearly can tell that there's that sense in you. And so I'm really excited to hear that fun. So what parody song would you do?
Well, I mean, I had a few in my head, but I remember thinking of the Fergalicious one. I think it was Fergalicious.
Oh my God.
Pero no me acuerdo, like, en qué forma o qué era la parody. You know what I mean?
For me, it was Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball.
Okay.
And it was like, I came in like a Dragon Ball. I needed to collect them all. And so, like,
Okay, that makes
if you're
sense.
a big Dragon Ball fan, that's one. Like, tú sabes,
Sí, sí,
si eres
sí.
de México o de aquí, en el área de la
sí,
frontera,
sí.
sabes de Dragon Ball Z, ¿ok?
Oh, sí.
Todos saben. Si quieren o no quieren, sabes.
Como quiera sabes, de qué saben.
Sabes
Yeah.
de las bolas.
Ball. My little boy says ball.
This episode has been sponsored by the letter B. It all comes back around,
And your girl B.
And
From
girl
the B.
B from the V. Oh my God, I remember that. That was your original moniker.
That was my rap.
Girl, that's how I originally knew you. Yes,
B from the V.
I knew you
see,
as B from the V.
The real ones, no B from the B.
And the fake ones don't.
No, not that the fake ones though. They just know.
They don't
know that part of me or that side of me.
And is that a side of you that you would like more, like you would like to explore more? I mean, I know you're already kind of doing it a little bit, but in regards to maybe like doing
That's like
something.
my rap alter ego.
So is that like your Roman? Like Nicki Minaj has Roman and Roman Solansky, like she has the more like aggressive rap version.
Oh, okay.
So like, is that your
Okay,
rap
look, so
alter
check this
ego?
out. So
Okay.
Beatriz Gonzalez would like, I guess where my heart is mariachi, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have the rap, which is like a whole spectrum, right? Like nada que ver mariachi with rap. And a lot of people that like mariachi don't like rap. And some of the rap people that, that are my fans in the rap genre, they're like, no, deberías hacer más rap, and I appreciate that because I like to rap.
rapiachi?
I mean, I have a few songs that are unreleased actually that are kind of like that. Pero
Rapiachi?
rapiachi.
Wait, mariap?
Marap.
Marirap? We just came up with a new name for your mezcla. But yeah. No,
Rapachi.
Rapachi. Rapachi.
No.
But like you have these two.
So in the middle, you got the cumbia. You know what I mean? So it's like
in the
Beatriz
middle is
Gonzalez,
Tejano.
you got B de la V or Beatriz Gonzalez. Well, B from the V, which is now B de la V. I don't know. I guess grew up. It's a, ¿cómo se dice?
Level up?
Not like that, pero like a
Change?
little bit, yeah. Porque ya no soy I don't rap the same as I used to, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Or like back then, with Surlado. Shout out to Magic. So in the middle, you got B, like just B, which is more, I guess, regular. I don't know how to explain it. But those are like my three little alter egos. If you would say.
That's
not really
interesting.
because it's all me and like in the sense, you know what I mean? It's all me in all of that.
Well, it's interesting because
Pero son diferentes partes. De
yeah,
mí.
yeah, I could see that because for me it's like Veronique Medrano, Veronique, and then I feel like that's kind of it. I only go between those two.
Yeah.
There might be a third one in the middle, but like for me, music is fluid.
But you feel me?
Yeah.
Like you see where I'm going?
Yeah, like for you, there's a spectrum for you. There's a
Yeah.
spectrum in sound and
and
totally get it.
creativity.
Yeah.
So it and it's crazy because when I was little, I had gone to try out for La Academia in Monterrey.
Are you serious?
Yeah, my dad took me in the bus. And it was a huge line and it was crazy. I met a lot of cool people out there.
But then
We
you
were-
went to Tengo Talento, Mucho Talento.
También fui, pero eso fue antes, la academia fue antes. But I was so stuck in singing mariachi. This is the reason why I do everything else now, or I started doing everything else a little after that. Porque I was so stuck in mariachi, and it was a long line, and I went through that line, and when it came up to me, I was in front of this judge that was on TV, and I sang to him and he's like, okay, well, do you know anything else? Like, no sé, algo pop. He wanted to hear me in a different, whatever. And The first song that came to me was I think it was a Paulina Rubio song. Is it ¿A quién le importa
lo que yo
No,
haga?
is it that one? Is it Paulina?
¿A quién le importa lo que yo diga?
Así,
Así seguiré, nunca cambiaré. That was Thalia.
Pues no sé, pero se me ocurrió una song que was too easy to know, and I was like, I'm not gonna sing that. So I sang another mariachi song. Gracias. I had 2 chances. People there were getting cut as soon as they opened their mouth. Bye. Next. I had 2 chances and I blew it. Why? Because la niña canta puro mariachi.
Yeah, but like that seems like such a
La niña.
La niña. Well, what's funny is I had this similar experience with American Idol. I went and auditioned right out of college. I was 18, and I went to the Austin auditions. And I went to those auditions and I sang a song in English, and they were like, "Yeah, you're too brown. Next." And I was like, "Oh, that was hard."
What?
That was hard. The only
What?
I'm not kidding. It was the worst. They was like, "Yeah, you're too brown. You're too no." Next. And people there, like it's cattle call, so there's like thousands of people going.
Yeah.
You're there forever. It's super long, and like it was just ridiculous. And mind you, this was when like technically American Idol was still big.
Yeah.
So like I was 18, so this was like 2009. Damn. So this is 2009. Like it was still
I
a
think
big
that was probably
program.
around like the time where I was doing La Academia. Probably
And then
around
after that, like 2 or 3 years later, I did The Voice, and The Voice was a better experience. But,
That's good.
But it was like just one song. They were just like, oh, and what's weird about The Voice is that when I got to the second audition, so I did the first, I got flown out to Chicago, almost got frostbite in my hands because it was the coldest day of the year for some damn reason, the day I land. And so I go in there with my little gloves thinking it was enough, but I needed insulated gloves because there I am wondering why my hand hurts,
Ouch.
like in the glove. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. And so that was a better experience.
Yeah.
But will I audition like that again? No. I tried out for a different singing competition, like during the pandemic. They thought I lived in Mexico. I didn't. I was like, I swear I put that I was from here in Texas. Yeah, they thought I was in Mexico, so that would have been the only reason. Like nothing about me was bad. They really liked me. It's just that I was from the States. I was confused, but okay.
That's crazy. You know what? I think the biggest show I tried out for was, I think it was called The One or something like that. Estaba Fergie, DJ Khaled, P. Diddy.
Yes.
De ahí salió Zavaya. You know who Zavaya is? She's a really dope artist. Blonde, dreadlocks, a lot of tattoos. But she has this voice like amazing voice. Anyway, so I tried out for that, and I didn't think I was gonna go that far. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll try it. No, what can you sing? And they, for some reason, they loved me singing Daddy Yankee. Daddy Yankee, yo.
Well, it's different.
They done 3 songs. I went to, I think it was it Austin? I tried out in Austin. First, you sent some videos, and then they called me that, first round or whatever. So I went, and then after that, I was in California. They took me all the way to California. But I actually sang Ariana Grande and Nicki Minaj's I've been here all night, I've been there all day. Side to side. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So con el rap y todo, right? Because it was English, and I'm not used to that. And then I sang Daddy Yankee. They loved the Daddy Yankee one. And they flew me out to Cali. I stayed in an amazing hotel. And I actually regret not going through with that because they called me back and I just thought it was going to be, because they gave me a whole contract. And you can't make music, between la 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 for a certain amount of time. I can't stop making music, I think that's what stopped me from that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. It don't exist, so it doesn't matter, right?
Exactly.
That's that's the way I see it.
And so to, kind kind of go on the shoulda, woulda, couldas of our business. It feels like that's a constant. But, you know, at this point in your career, what is something that if your child would be interested in the arts, what would you shoulda to them in regards to being in this business and building something for yourself?
Pues, I mean, I'm just gonna be like, well, if you want to do this, you gotta learn it right, do it right the first time. And pues, of course, he's got me, so now I got it. I steer you in the right direction. You know what I mean?
And what's the right way in your opinion?
Well, I mean, as far as just owning stuff yourself, like your social media, admin that, your, ¿cómo se llama? Have your own catalog, you know, también of music, so you can get them checks. And just, if you have that vision, make it happen with not that much, because thank God I've been able to do a lot with less. Like it's been, like I said, people have helped me out with even the vision. My brother, he makes it come true, and it's been a lot of help. So I would just say that, if anything, that's the main, you know, building block to own it yourself. Of course, I'm gonna own it for him while he grows. Pero pues it's in the right hands, you know what I mean?
And finally, just to wrap up this wonderful episode with you, I ask all my guests this: what is life accordion to you? Life is what you make it. Dream big, never give up, no matter what, has been my motto in this life. And I mean, I just want to be as happy as possible doing what I love, even though there's a lot of, I mean, it's a business, it's music, especially entertainment. It's a lot of roller coasters, so you just gotta, you know, deal with all that. Pero always keep a positive perspective. Dream big, never give up, no matter what, and make it happen. And with that, we have another wonderful episode of the Accordion to Me podcast. And as always, puro amor, puro besos, puro mezcal. Bye! Thank you for listening to Accordion to Me. The team behind this week's episode includes mixing and editing by Juan Pablo Diaz, theme music by Rodrigo Montalvo, produced by Javi G from MD Media. In-person recordings were done at the Podify Studios and remotely through Riverside FM. Accordion to Me is distributed through Anchor, and you can stream Accordion to Me wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. I'm your host and executive producer, Veronique Medrano. Puro amor, puro besos, puro Tex-Mex.